Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 41st Annual Sports Hall of Fame Enshrinement Banquet. I am Joe Tate's replacement. Needless to say, he flew with the team to Boston, and I understand that the team is going to come back victorious. And if that's not true, then he lied to me. Joe's been a good friend for a vast number of years. We first worked together at WERE in Cleveland, and then we both moved on to 3WE. And from there, I wound up back in the classroom, retiring from Admiral King. Needless to say, Joe continued in his broadcasting career. Amazingly, we're the same age. And that's where the similarity ends. Just a couple of announcements before we get started. First of all, if your cell phone is on, at least the volume, please turn it down or off. And secondly, the bar will be reopening during the dinner hour only. And then the bar will reopen after the program is completed for your socializing. We would like to begin by asking Marlene Karpinski to please once again present our national anthem, so we would ask you to please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. At the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now it is my honor to introduce to you the president of the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame, Barbara Mcconney.
Thank you, Ron. On behalf of the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame Committee, it's with great pride that I welcome you to the 41st Annual Enshrinement Banquet tonight. We will be inducting the class of 2010. I have to get this down. These individuals, there are 8 individuals and 1 team whose accomplishments continue to exemplify the high standards of performance in the sports arena. Our sincere congratulations to our inductees, as well as their family and friends who are joining them tonight to celebrate with us. These inductees have been selected by committee members from a number of nominees who are submitted by you, the general public. If a candidate is not selected initially, their application will remain in the system for future consideration. Nomination application forms can be obtained from any member of the committee through email or through the regular mail or at the museum, which we're going to open up in June. It's going to be at 737 Broadway. We haven't even started yet, but we're going to try to make our deadline, and we'll be happy to see you. So we'll have applications there also. I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you that are here tonight. Let's relax, enjoy the evening, the dining, the friends, and all this history that we have of Lorain sports. I would like to introduce our special guests. They'll be participating in tonight's program also. Seated at my table right here in front of me is Mayor Tony Krashenko. Stand up, thank you. The clergy representative, the Very Reverend Nicholas Ratchford. Clearview Superintendent of Schools, Rick Buckhosh. Our guest speaker, Richard Zavoc. Jim Allen Popio, WEOL Sports. Tim Alcorn, WEOL Sports. And you met our soloist, Marlene Karpinski. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for participating in tonight's program. Now for the introductions of our special guests seated next to me on both sides. Lorain Sports Hall of Fame Committee proudly presents the class of 2010. We ask, please, that you hold your applause until they're all been introduced. From the regular category, Cheryl Banczyk, accompanied by daughter Abby. You didn't hear me. Joe Ferris, accompanied by Beverly Caraff. Jim Jones, accompanied by his wife Bonnie. Lee Savetti, accompanied by his daughter Lily. Hal Craig, represented by his son Paul Craig and grandson John Craig. George Loker, accompanied by his son Todd. In the special category, Paul Bieber, accompanied by his wife Joan. John Burke, accompanied by his wife Shelley. And in the team category, Lorain St. Mary High School, 1966 football team, represented by Coach Bill Philbin and is accompanied by his wife Andrea. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the committee in welcoming the 2010 class to the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
And now I would like to introduce the Very Reverend Nicholas Ratchford, the pastor of St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic Parish in Lorain, for tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. We thank you, Lord our God, for the many blessings you bestow on us. We especially thank you for the athletic and leadership talents you have given those whom we gather to honor this evening. May the praise we accord to them also give honor to you, O God, who are so generous with your gifts to us. We ask you to bless the food we are about to share, and which is also available to us through your bounty. May this food nourish our bodies for your service and our spirits to give you glory. For all this we earnestly pray. Amen.
Let's eat. We are ready to get rolling. This is the main part of the program, and before we do get started, I am going to trust that you will be more than willing to join with me in giving a nice round of applause to the folks here at this fine establishment for the outstanding meal presented to us. Once upon a time, a few years back, a young man by the name of Tony sat in my classroom, and that's how I referred to him, Tony. He was a studious individual, always in school, always on time, and I could tell back then, as he sat in that classroom, that someday, somehow, some way, he was going to become a success. So it is with great pleasure at this time that I introduce to you not Tony, but rather the Honorable Mayor of the City of Lorain, Anthony Krashenko.
Thank you, Mr. Baklar. It's his fault I'm where I am today. But thank you very much. Thank you and congratulations to this year's inductees. This year you become part of a historic group of individuals that celebrates our history of sports in the city of Lorain. I'm proud to say that we were able to assist the Sports Hall of Fame in relocating in downtown Lorain to make sure that our history is not only preserved, but it is displayed proudly. And as this year becomes a historic year for the Sports Hall of Fame as well, as we close the chapter on a couple of fine institutions that have brought us many years and many well-rounded athletes and memories in Admiral King and Southview. We open up a new chapter that will write a phenomenal history in the city of Lorain and produce more inductees into this Hall of Fame and bring us many teams to cheer from here on out in our Lorain High Titans. So we look forward to our many years of our return to greatness with conference championships and hopefully a couple trips down the state. I'm looking forward to it and cheering on our Lorain High Titans. I thank all of you for being here tonight. This is a wonderful event. To all the inductees, congratulations again. And I'm gonna try it. Ron.
Hey, all right. Did it.
Although we don't have Joe Tate, I gotta tell you, this guy is the best MC I think we have around, and thank you, Ron.
Thank you. See, the lightning didn't come.
Thank you, and have a great evening.
I told him if he would only say Ron once, no lightning would come through the ceiling and strike him. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Baklar was my dad's name. I'd like to introduce some members of the media that are with us this evening. From the Morning Journal, the sports editor of the Morning Journal, Colin Wilson. Is he present? Oh. There he is, okay. The editor of the Morning Journal, Tom Scotch, he's back there. Representing the Elyria Chronicle-Telegram, Joel Hammond. And also we would like to recognize the members of the Elyria Sports Hall of Fame who are present with us this evening. If you would like to stand, please. Thank you, gentlemen. Tonight, the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame observes the induction of our 41st class. The Sports Hall of Fame was founded in December of 1969 by a group of sportsmen in cooperation with the Lorain Chamber of Commerce under the leadership of Executive Director J. Ed Yulin. current committee member Hank Kozlowski, and the recently deceased Paul Baumgartner were members of the Charter Committee. The purpose was to honor Lorain residents whose athletic achievements exemplify the outstanding sports heritage of our community. The first class of 9 individuals were enshrined in April of 1970 and have grown to a total of 299 individuals and 24 teams. And you can refer to the banquet program, pages 6 and 7, for a complete roster of the past enshrinees. While a sizable number of those who have been honored are deceased and many others reside in distant parts of the country, we welcome those enshrinees who are with us here tonight. We now request that those in attendance please stand for recognition. The committee of the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame appreciate the continuing support of all the past enshrinees. And I would like to take a moment just to kind of focus on one of the individuals mentioned. It came, I'm sure, as a shock to all who knew him. He was probably one of the most lovable individuals that I've known through the years. Oftentimes affectionately referred to as just Bummy, Paul Baumgartner. Paul and I were undergraduates at Kent State University back in the late 50s. We were on the same squad in ROTC. And just to show you the kind of sense of humor that Bummy had back then and continued through his life, when we would be on the grounds in our uniforms, ready for inspection, there was only one individual who would show up with Argyle socks instead of Army issued, or a plaid shirt instead of the Army issued. He literally drove the regular Army officers there up a wall. We loved him then, we love him today. We miss you, Bummy. Time now for our guest speaker. Richard Zavoc certainly is no stranger to many folks in this room tonight. Rich was an outstanding player at Lorain Catholic High School and Defiance College, and he was enshrined in 2007 into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. Following his 29-year collegiate coaching career, he has published 2 sports books. He is in demand as a motivational speaker, and currently he is a basketball analyst on ESPN. Without further ado, I am pleased to present to you this evening our guest speaker, Coach Z, Rich Zavoc.
Thank you very much. I got to tell you, congratulations to all the inductees. It's an honor and a privilege to be around you here tonight. And I got to tell you, what Ron didn't say, or Mr. Baklar, I should say, didn't mention is there were plenty of lessons that I learned from my coaches and teachers and family when I grew up here in Lorain. And one of the things that I learned was, A, you had to develop a game plan. B, you had to make adjustments. And it hit home when I was 27. At 27, I was named the head coach at St. Francis College in Brooklyn. I was the youngest Division I head coach in the country. And I'll never forget, I'm standing there and I'm thinking, this is, I'm going to become the next Bob Knight. 900 wins. I'm at St. Francis College. Now, before you get too excited about how great a job that was, they hadn't had a winning season in 2 decades. Well, I was young, I was naive, I didn't know any better. So I'm standing there, first game, national anthem. Rocking back and forth, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be the moment of history. And I look down, and I see my best player, Darwin Purdy. He had the worst look on his face of any human being I've ever seen. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my first game, my best player, he's not ready to play. What am I going to do? So national anthem ends. I walk down, I put my arm around Darwin. I said, Darwin, what's wrong? He says, Coach, every time they play this song, we play bad afterwards. Time to adjust the game plan. It was the last time we ever played the national anthem in St. Francis. We played God Bless America by Kate Smith after that. Darwin went on to be the all-time leading scorer, and 2 years later we had a winning season, and I moved on to the University of North Florida. Another chance to kind of build a program, actually. We started from scratch. So you're in football country, and the first thing you have to do, you have to get people excited and motivated to come to games. So there's an outing, like a get-together. Lee can understand this, working at Notre Dame. There's like a faculty get-together, right? So you're going to introduce yourself to everybody out there. So I'm going to bring fans in to watch University of North Florida Ops race. So I go out, first person, I say, how you doing? Rich Zavoc. And the person looks at me and says, oh, okay, you're the new history professor. No, new basketball. Okay, oh, for one. How you doing? Rich Zavoc. And I said, no, you're, and I said, oh, you're the new vice president of student affairs. No, I'm the new basketball coach. Okay, oh, for two. One more try, give it again. How you doing? Rich Zavoc. And the guy says, oh, you're the new phys ed instructor. No, I'm the new basketball coach, but it was close. Just then, this little dog comes down a hill, lifts his back leg, and lets loose all over my pant leg. Now, my athletic director, never missing a beat, he looks at me and says, hey, Rich, at least he knows who you are. A lot of good jobs. Anyhow, I tell you, when I look at the inductees tonight, it makes me think of two sayings. Number one by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he said, what lies ahead of us and what lies behind us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And the people at this dais tonight obviously understand that. Now, for those of you who aren't into Ralph Waldo Emerson, I think the better guy who said it was Dickie Fox. I don't know if you've seen the movie Jerry Maguire, but Dickie Fox was the veteran agent. He would give you tidbits of knowledge and advice throughout the movie. And he said, if you don't have it in here, then what's up here doesn't matter. And there is so much truth to that, because it's about passion. And that's what these inductees share tonight. They have the passion. And that's what you have out there in the audience, because you're willing to commemorate what they have done and be there to support them. And you know, throughout my career, I always believe that when you're carrying that backpack through life, you got to develop three bones. Your wishbone, your backbone, and your funny bone. Now your wishbone are your dreams, your visions. You got to have a vision of what you're going to do. And I'll never forget my younger son. He kind of turned the tables on me a few years ago. He came to me one morning, he said, Dad, I want a dog. I said, Devin, that's really nice. I don't like dogs, we're not getting a dog. Guess what, when you get on your own, you can get a dog. And he says, no, Dad, I really want a dog. And for those of you who have kids, you understand this. They want a dog, but you're the one who ends up taking care of them. You feed them, you walk them, you pick up after them, all that. So the next morning, I come down, open the refrigerator door. As I do it, I stub my toe. I look down and there's a dog bowl. I asked my wife, I said, Sandy, what's going on? She said, oh, Devin's practicing feeding his dog. I said, that's great, he's not getting a dog. So later that day, I figured, all right, he's seeing it up here. Let's test him a little bit, because if you just keep saying no, what do kids do? They just keep badgering you. But if you can outsmart them, they'll let it go. Well, so I said, Devin, what kind of dog is he? He said he's an Irish Wolfhound. Oh, that's nice, the biggest breed out there. I said, well, what's he look like? He says he's gray, he's got a little black in him, he's got like white patches on his paws. I said, oh, that's cool. I said, what's his name? He says, Brogan. I said, oh, that's really an Irish, noble Irish name. I said, well, that's good, Devin. When you get on your own, you can get a dog, but we're not getting a dog. So the next day, I get a call from my wife. She says, Rich, you got to come home. Your son is out front of the house with a dog leash. And he's walking back and forth. Now, if you can picture this, my neighbors already think I'm nuts anyhow. So my son is out in front, walking back and forth, dragging a dog leash. There's no dog attached to this leash. He's just dragging it on the ground. So I said, Devin, what are you doing? He says, Dad, I'm practicing walking my dog. I said, well, that's good, son. Guess what? 8 years from now, when you get on your own, you can get a dog, but we're not getting a dog. 2 weeks later, it's Father's Day. We go out for a drive. Got 3 kids, you know, you got them jammed in the back seat, and then about the 14th time that you've turned around and yelled at them, you said, okay, it's time to let them out. So we pull over, and there's a little farm, you know, big ranch area, and let them out to run around. And about 5 minutes later, this little dog just rolls down a hill, runs right in my leg. We now have a 175-pound Irish wolfhound named Brogan, because my son saw it up here. So you got to see it before you achieve it. Your wishbone, your backbone. What's your backbone about? It is about standing for something, or you fall for anything. It's about what these people up here have done. They understand it's about dominating the dash. Now, how many of you have been to a cemetery recently? I have. And what's in a cemetery? You got gravestones. In a gravestone, what do you see? You see somebody's name. Now, somebody lives their life. It says when they were born, when they died. Now think about it. Most people never remember when you're born. They'll even forget when you die. Heck, they'll even forget your name eventually. But what they'll remember is that little dash between when you were born and when you died. How you lived your life. You dominate the dash. These people up here tonight certainly have done that. Now, the third bone is it's a pregnant pause there. It's a funny bone. I'm trying to build tension. Thank you very much, though. It's your funny bone. And what is your funny bone? You got to have the ability to laugh at yourself, because there's going to be times when you do something and people are going to try and pick on you. And they say, oh, you're wrong. You can't, you know, what's wrong with you? And you let it roll off your back. The other part of it is to share the experience with the people around you. Like Lee Savetti here has his daughter with him tonight. Some of the inductees have their spouses or their significant others. So it's about sharing that journey. And I got to tell you, I didn't quite understand that for most of my coaching career. But I was sitting in a hotel room. I guess it was my 4th year at UMKC. We're in Indianapolis. We're playing IUPUI. We're 0-7. Okay? Not a very good start, obviously. It's January 6th. We hadn't won in the previous year. My AD just called me and said, Rich, by the way, they're going to run a full-page article in the Kansas City Star about how you should be fired. Well, thank you very much. Why are you telling me that? I'm in Indianapolis. So I'm sitting there, and my mother and father had driven over from Lorain to see the game. Now, I don't know why I did it. I wish I could say I did it because I'm a good person. I think I did it because I just needed somebody to lean on and make sure there was somebody behind me that wasn't trying to stab me in the back. So I asked my father if he would come into the locker room for the pregame talk, the halftime, and the postgame, come over on the bus. Now, I had never done that before. Now, I had been a head coach for about 15 years, and I never thought to do that. Now, my father had been a coach, so it was really kind of silly that I hadn't done it. But he agreed to do it. So he came to the game, halftime, heard the speech, post-game, we won. We won by 16, our first win. So I told him, I said, 2 days later, we got a game. I'm flying you out. I got a ticket, we're flying you out for the game. So he comes out to the game, we win number 2. So now 2 days later, we're going to play down in Shreveport, Louisiana. We're going to play Centenary University. Now, I saw the most embarrassing thing in my life at that point, because I had asked him, well, I told him that, you know, the basketball gods, you can't screw with them. I'm a very superstitious person. So I said, you have to come to Shreveport, Louisiana. Well, the most embarrassing thing was watching him on the phone with my mother, begging her to allow him to come down to Shreveport with her son to this game. Well, finally, she relented after I told her that I promised that I would keep him out of the casinos. And so we win game number 3. So it's 3 in a row now. So now we're coming home. We got one more game. We'll play North Dakota State. So before the game, I decided, if we win, I'm going to allow him to address the team. So as fate would have it, we win. Now we're all in the locker room. We're all gathered around. He's standing in the corner. Now he has no idea what's about to happen. But I figured, hey, he coached for 20 years. He's got a Newt Rockney speech in his pocket. He could pull it out, get it done. So I said, Dad, I want you to address the team. So he comes into the huddle, and he leans in. And he says, guys, I'm thinking this is going to be the greatest thing that I've ever heard, right? He leans in, he says, guys, I've brought you as far as I can. The rest is up to you. And the place explodes. But he did add this. He said, you know, I have my lucky Buckeye. I will leave this with you. And everybody knows in this room, the Buckeye, the lucky Buckeye is worth about 10 rabbit's feet. And you know what? It must be, because we won 7 more in a row. And it had to do with the lucky Buckeye. But it had to do with, again, sharing the ride with the people around you. Making sure that you spread it around, because they'll love it just as much and have as much fun as you are while you're going through that journey. Now, I know I only have a couple minutes, so I want to challenge you to do 4 things when you leave this room tonight. I want you to drink, I want you to swear, I want you to steal, and I want you to lie. All right, and if you do those 4 things, I guarantee you're going to have a heck of a life the rest of the way out. Now, I see Cheryl Banczyk looking at her kid right here and saying, oh my God, don't listen to a word this guy is saying. Understand what I'm talking about. Drink. Drink from the fountain of friendship, from communication. You don't know who the person next to you is going to become or how they're going to be able to help you and how you're going to be able to help them. Swear. Swear to do something today to get you a little closer to that goal, whatever that may be. Steal. Steal a little time to be by yourself, to think about it. Because we all live busy lives, and most of our days start with us coming to the office or coming to work, putting on the catcher's mitt, and trying to catch whatever's thrown at us, right, Mayor? So steal a little time to be by yourself, to think about how are you going to get there, your game plan. Maybe you got to evaluate it, maybe you have to reevaluate it, adjust it. But steal that time. And last thing, lie. When you lie in bed tonight, thank the big guy upstairs for the people who have supported you, your coaches, your family, your friends, and then make a vow to give back to those people and the people around you who come after you. Because remember, if you see a turtle on the top of a fence post, you know he didn't get there by himself. Thank you very much.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time in the program when the Hall of Fame Committee proudly inducts the class of 2010 to be inducted into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. Tonight, we induct 6 athletes whose athletic achievements have earned them recognition, 2 individuals with outstanding coaching reputations, and a team whose excellence brought fame to their school. I might add that these inductees were nominated by the general public. And with that said, if any of you believe that there are individuals or teams who deserve consideration for future induction into the Hall of Fame, it is up to you to obtain and to submit a nominating application to the committee. Application forms are available from any committee member or at the museum, and also from their website. We suggest that you read the complete achievements of each inductee, which you will find in the biography located in the program book, because my introductory remarks are condensed and relatively brief, as we trust the speakers will also be relatively brief. Now, in case you speakers haven't been informed, there's a little device up here that I have to start. and at the conclusion of the time, it will begin to beep. Then I'm instructed to press another button, which will open up the floor, and you're gone. Just joking. But there is a device that I have to trigger. All right, our number one and first inductee. Inductees from the regular category are those individuals who have demonstrated outstanding athletic ability and achievement at their highest level of competition. Leading off tonight's outstanding group of inductees from the regular category is Cheryl Banczyk, whose performance in the 1980s was a major factor in advancing the girls' basketball program at Admiral King High School to an elite level. Cheryl is currently ranked in the top 10 career school records in most offensive and defensive categories. She was named to the All-Buckeye Conference team each of her 4 years. Cheryl carried her basketball skills on scholarship to Clarion University of Pennsylvania, where she continued to establish numerous school records in scoring, rebounding, and blocked shots. She was inducted in 1995 into the Clarion University Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cheryl Banczyk into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
Take care, honey.
Cheryl, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
When I look back over my years playing sports, I'm almost always drawn back to early elementary school, a time when the girls just didn't play with the boys. I'm reminded of my 4 brothers, Stephen, Rob, David, and Greg. As a middle child and a twin sister to David, and only having one sister, Beth, who incidentally was considered the girl of the family, I found myself always wanting to play outside with the boys. For those of you who have not yet encountered a Banczyk, we are, to say the least, very strong personalities. So you can just imagine the level of competitiveness within our family. My brothers are all very athletic, so we always had a neighborhood game of baseball going on at the church parking lot behind our home on Marshall. Many stained glass windows were broken at this church by the Banczyk family. You could daily find us playing running bases in our backyard. We had permanent bases dug out in the lawn, which if you knew my father and his lawn, you'd know the grief we got for this. I was usually the official catcher, never being allowed to bat, or I was the one that had to run the bases, never allowed to catch. I was the last to rotate in because I was a girl. We'd spend hours throwing a tennis ball or a pink super ball up on the roof of the back of the house to play catch. We played many games of basketball in the front driveway as we had a hoop attached to the garage. I spent many early years watching my 4 brothers play organized baseball and CYO basketball. It must have been one of those many games of running bases, baseball in the church lot, basketball in the drive, or tennis on the garage door. Yep, Dad, that's how all those spots got there. Or the many kick-the-can games that were organized in our neighborhood that my passion for sports began. It was at this time that my brothers unknowingly inspired me to want to play and play to win, because to a Banczyk, winning was supreme. A day didn't go by that we didn't debate who the best at which sport was. It was just that, coupled with the constant remarks about my height from everyone around me, the "you should play basketball because you are tall" remarks, that I began to think about it. So my love of basketball began at Masson under Zen Chwansky on a combined 7-8 team. My first ever basket was at Clearview. Picture me on my knees in the middle of the key and the ball falls in my hands. Now notice I didn't say I rebounded the ball. Flashing through my mind was what Mr. C kept saying to me at practice daily. If you're in the key, Banczyk, just shoot the damn ball. Never pass it, just shoot the damn ball, for God's sake. So I did, right there from the middle of the key on my knees. I shot that ball, and in it went. And I never saw a coach laugh so hard. We were undefeated for 2 seasons, and Admiral King coach Paul Bieber was right there at all the games, just waiting to get his hands on us. And that he would. The next 4 years of basketball at King went down as the best in school history. I had a lot of room to improve, but I would do that under the next 4 seasons under his tutelage. So thanks, Coach Bieber. You led our team through some spectacular seasons, including being #1 in the Associated Press polls in the state of Ohio for almost an entire season. You led us to the first ever girls basketball district championship for Lorain schools. What great memories. The many basketball camps at Wooster, Ohio State, Miami of Ohio, Steve Bankston's camp at Community College, with my good friends Cheryl Pierce and Melanie Collins, remain as some of my best childhood memories. Playing alongside some of the great players in the state, Kim Pardon and Kim Walton, was such a privilege. The upperclassmen that accepted me as a freshman on their varsity team and treated me with such respect, Judy Kuznar, Vernita Dunlap, Kim Pardon. What great leaders you were, and what great mentors as well. Thank you all for being such wonderful teammates. How fortunate I would be to head off to Clarion University on scholarship to play. And as I look back over my career, the many hours at Willow Park playing with the guys, the many games and practices at the Shot Palace and also at Clarion, I have great memories of this game of basketball and of the city of Lorain. I also think about how much the game has evolved over the years, and I begin to feel a little old. It wasn't until college that I experienced the smaller women's size ball, the possession arrow, the shot clock, and the three-point shot. But more importantly than feeling a little old, I feel very fortunate to have had these sports experiences in my life because they have defined me. What a privilege it has been to be the head coach at my alma mater, Admiral King, to be able to continue this legacy for others. So thanks to my brothers for always saying, "You can't do that, you're a girl." And thanks, Mom and Dad, for always making sure I got to and from the many practices and camps and for continuing to support me. Thank you, Brian Corey, for nominating me, my mentor and my friend, for this great honor. Thank you, Lorain Sports Hall of Fame, for this wonderful recognition. I am much honored, and I'm proud to say that I'm from a wonderful place, the city of Lorain. Thank you.
With 59 seconds to spare.
Can I come back up?
Our next inductee from the regular category is Joe Ferris, also a scholastic standout at Admiral King as a football linebacker and power-hitting outfielder in baseball. Joe was a defensive giant for the Admirals, consistently leading the team in all defensive categories. As a senior, he was honored as the best defensive lineman of the year, and he was named to the All-Buckeye Conference defensive first team. Joe continued his football career at Miami of Ohio, where he started 3 games as a freshman and continued as a starting linebacker for 37 consecutive games. He was a 3-year letterman and was named to the All-Mid-American Conference team in his senior year and helped Miami University win the Mid-American Championship in his freshman and junior years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Ferris into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
I was born and raised here in Lorain for my first 21 years. The city and the people have been a strong influence to me, my athletic career, and a journey through life. I consider myself a very fortunate and lucky person to be here tonight with such an accomplished group of athletes and Loranites. I would like to thank my parents, Helen and John, my 3 brothers, Marty, John, and Paul, for always supporting me. I learned early in on life that having less than my neighbors wasn't all that mattered. My family, friends, and coaches taught me the importance of love, trust, hard work, and the will to believe that I could make a difference. I have great memories and was influenced early on in my career by my coaches, starting off with CYO football, and Little League Baseball. These coaches include Ed Banczyk, Rich Turton, Mr. Sands, Dick Olson, Vern Fulton, and Don Gleisner. Later on at Admiral King, these coaches were Les Gherkin, Greg Panessa, Lou Ribble, Ray Kornprost, Paul Bieber, and Don Fritz. If I forgot anyone on this list, we can meet in the bar next door and discuss it. I want to thank all these coaches for providing me with the knowledge to prepare, practice, and to believe in myself. When these coaches spoke, I could hear it in their voices and see it in their eyes, the passion they believed in. They taught us how to perform and execute on the field. I feel extremely lucky that I can continue to use this knowledge and passion in my life today. It was a dream come true to go to college, play football, and win 2 conference championships. It's even greater to continue to use what I learned from the coaches and my experience on the field, and to be able to apply that to my daily life and profession. Through my involvement in the sports, I have developed lifelong friendships with Larry Fortner, Joe Bellish, Alan Gross, Greg Carney, and many more, and it's all irreplaceable. I am proud of Lorraine, the roots that I have here, and what it has done for me. Thank you.
Our third inductee from the regular category is Jim Jones, who was an all-around athlete at Lorain High School, where he excelled in football, basketball, and baseball, earning a total of 8 varsity letters. As a quarterback, he had a stellar senior season, producing impressive offensive statistics, and he was named to the All-Buckeye Conference Offensive First Team, as well as an All-Ohio honorable mention. He added All-Buckeye Conference second team honors in basketball, and he led the Steelman baseball team to the sectional and district tournament championships. Jim continued his career at Baldwin Wallace College and demonstrated his versatility as he was the starting quarterback in football and the starting shortstop in baseball as a freshman. He was an outstanding runner with power and speed, and he was ranked high in the conference in passing statistics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jim Jones into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I was getting tired of hearing Anchors Away, so it's nice to get a Steelman up here, isn't it? Thank you. I would be lying if I didn't say over these many years, because it's been 40-some years since I played at Lorain High School, that I hadn't thought about this moment. And thus, because it is happening now, I am humbled and I am honored. I am honored to join the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. I am honored to join those that I watched and admired as I was growing up. I'm honored to join those that I played with and against. I'm honored to join those that I heard about and read about after we moved from Lorain 36 years ago. I'm humbled by all of you who have shown up tonight. I had no idea there would be this many people at this banquet. And it's certainly a special feeling to be remembered after all these years. I would like to thank several people who worked hard to make this happen. Ruth Bardoner, my aunt, and her niece Cheryl Bardoner, Rob Hayden, one of my coaches at Lorain High, Walt Waite, who is not here tonight, and obviously my brother Bob. Quick story about my brother Bob. I had the pleasure and the honor of playing basketball with him when I was a sophomore and he was a senior. The first game of the season we played at Midview High School. Now, We both started. Bob led the team in scoring. He scored 20-some points. I led the team in rebounding and scored 12 points or whatever. We won the game. The next day, the headlines of the Lorain Journal, the whole town's talking about the Jones boys. It gets better. We lost 18 straight after that. But above all, and this is going to be difficult, I want to acknowledge my parents. They would be more happy and more proud than anybody in the city of Lorain tonight if they were here. And I want you all to remember them, because without them, without my dad, who was president of Lorain High School Booster Club for I think about 73 years, a lot of this wouldn't have happened. Getting the news about this honor gave me a chance to reflect back on the good times, the good games, all the buddies I played with. Certain things I'll never forget. I'll never forget Longfellow Junior High School, when we went undefeated in football and basketball under Don Fritz in his first year of coaching. Longfellow had been the doormat of the junior high leagues for years and years and years, and we pulled off 2 undefeated seasons there. I'll never forget beating Anchors away for the first time my senior year in football. And I can still picture watching Kenny Colmeyer intercept that pass right at the end of the game that sealed the victory for us. And I won't forget our senior year of baseball under Vic Fariga, one of the all-time great coaches, when we went to the regional finals against Cleveland Benediction and almost made it to the state. It was a wonderful experience. Just an absolutely great experience. We all know the values of sports, what they play in our lives. We all know what they do for us. We all know what they prepare us for in our later lives. As I say, it's been an absolutely wonderful, wonderful thing, and many, many fond memories to look back at. This has been a special evening, and I certainly thank you for it. But before I close, I want to mention a quote of Thomas Wolfe. Thomas Wolfe was raised and born in Asheville, North Carolina, which isn't far from where Bonnie and I live in Charlotte. Thomas Wolfe was an early 19th or 20th century author. Probably his most famous book was Look Homeward Angel. He also wrote a book called You Can't Go Home Again. You Can't Go Home Again over the years became probably more famous as a quote than it did as a book. Well, I'm here to tell you that Lorain was my home. Lorain is my home, and Lorain will always be my home. I love Lorain, Ohio, and tonight proves that you can go home again. Thank you.
And I also feel very compelled to mention that Jim and Bonnie were surprised. Their 4 children came in to honor their dad tonight from other parts of the country, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's family. The 4th inductee from the regular category is Lee Savetti, who stood out in basketball at Lorain High School in the 1970s. Although the Steelman had a so-so season in his junior year, Lee was a postseason standout as he led his team to the district and sectional titles and was first-team selection on both the all-district and all-sectional teams. He continued his outstanding play as a senior, leading the team and the Buckeye Conference in scoring and rebounding, and was named to the All-Ohio third team. Lee attended the College of Worcester, where he earned 4 varsity letters, and despite a debilitating foot injury his last 2 years, he averaged in double figures for 3 consecutive years, finishing with a career total of 924 points. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lee Savetti into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. What a special honor this is for me tonight. And I want to thank all of you coming to share in this special day. When you think back of all those years ago in my career, to have a city like Lorain, to have such rich in tradition and athletic history that I am now a member of, I'm truly honored and privileged to be part of your community. As I look back of my days of playing in Lakeview Park, Mr. Felkamp's backyard at 1 in the morning with the ball bouncing, and the work ethic that we put into it, it was my mom and dad that made it happen for me. 1969, my father gave up a career with Shell Oil Company to stop moving around the country. He was very successful. Every 2 years we'd move. I'd start school over again, had trouble academics, was never big enough, strong enough, fast enough to play sports. And his sacrifice to come to Lorain, a city that he grew up in, a city that his father played football for Newt Rockne at Notre Dame, 1929. And that sacrifice taught me work ethic. It taught me teamwork. It gave me a sense that you could persevere through injury. They always believed in me, my mom and dad, and what they were able to sacrifice. That's why I'm here tonight. On a side note, when you take a look at the program and you see the slam dunk, then you see the bald guy next to it, you're like, who's that guy? And when I sent that in, it just shows to me that those years go by fast, and now I'm sitting up with no hair in front of you, excited about being part of the community. And now being at the University of Notre Dame, I'm so proud of that because I'm working with students in their career. I'm making a difference. As a director of the Career Center, I manage 20 people, and every day we go to work and we lace it up too. And we're out there in the tough economy, making a difference in kids' lives. And that's what sports did for me in Lorain, Ohio. And now I'm giving back to that community. My daughter, Lily Savetti, who's playing at the University of Florida college basketball, very proud of her. I was able to pass down all that leadership and work ethic that my mom and dad gave me to my kids, and to see her succeed, and to see her fight through some tough injuries as well. And my son, freshman in high school, 6'4", more handsome than me, obviously, and he's also looking to play college sports. But this is a special moment. It's one in which I'll always remember. And as Rich said, I think he had a very good point. This is a time to stop and smell the roses, to reflect upon what it really means to you to come from a great city like Lorain, Ohio, a city rich in tradition, a city that works hard to succeed, and a city that never gives up. And thank you very much. I'm truly honored.
Our next inductee from the regular category is Harold Hal Craig, whose baseball legacy dates back to the early 1900s. Craig earned a reputation on the local sandlot fields as one of the finest hitters and catchers of his era. Hal signed a contract in 1911 with a professional team in Marion, Ohio, to become the first professional player from Lorain. His 4-year career was interrupted by military service in World War I. After Craig returned home, he pioneered the introduction of American Legion youth baseball in Lorain, serving as the manager for a 10-year period. The legacy of Hal Craig is one of baseball talent, dedication, service to his country, and distinguished public service to his hometown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the memory of Hal Craig into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame, and accepting the award in behalf of his grandfather is John Craig.
To begin with, I'd like to say good evening. On behalf of my grandfather Hal and my family, I would like to express our gratitude to the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame Committee for electing Hal to the class of 2010. I'm happy to have Hal's sons here with me today. My dad, Paul, is the baby of the family. He's 84. My Uncle Murray, who's the eldest of Hal's 3 children, is in the back. He's 89. Unfortunately, we couldn't get my Aunt Pat here from Massachusetts. Before I go any further, I want to congratulate all of the others being inducted in the Hall of Fame tonight. Congratulations to all of you. In large part, this honor is so meaningful because Hal truly loved Lorain. He would be very, very proud to be associated with the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame and all of its inductees because to him, they would represent the best of Lorain in many respects. I can say this with confidence due to our familiarity with so many of the past inductees. They're Hal's boys, as they were called at the time. They're guys my dad coached in CYO. They're our varsity basketball coaches, my dad's at St. Mary's and my brother Phil's and mine at Lorain High, as well as our junior varsity coaches. They're teammates, friends, and favorites of ours. I think Hal would have had it right. The Lorain Sports Hall of Fame and its inductees are something anyone would be proud to be associated with. I applaud the committee for honoring someone like Hal who passed away such a long time ago. It may be more important than ever to revisit the good old days and rediscover people like Hal and the many others who made Lorain an enviable place to live, work, and play during its heyday. Most of us have so much to thank them for, and all of us have something to learn from them. What they accomplished back then was truly amazing. They not only built Lorain, they had to rebuild it after the devastating tornado of 1924. And they didn't stop there. They continued to build Lorain into an industrial empire that so many of us benefited from while we grew up here. Hal's being inducted into the Hall of Fame for what he did on the baseball diamond, but it's what he did with the rest of his life as a member of this community in partnership with people like your own grandparents that made him a great man, them a great people, and Lorain a great community. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about him, though. Hal was born in Pardo, Pennsylvania in 1886. In 1903, when he was 17, he came to Lorain. He played several seasons as a catcher on local teams. Then in 1911, he won a job as a catcher on the Diggers, a professional team based in Marion, and signed his first professional contract with their parent organization, the Marion Baseball Company. Hal spent several seasons with 3 professional teams, including Saginaw, Michigan, and St. Thomas, Ontario. After his playing days were through, Hal was recognized as one of the all-time Lorain stars and undoubtedly the best catcher we ever had around here. After serving in World War I, Hal returned to Lorain in 1920 and quickly became involved with his beloved American Legion. He later went on to pioneer American Legion baseball here. The purpose behind the Legion sponsorship was to provide active involvement in sports for the young men of Lorain during the Great Depression. In 1939, with Hal as the manager, the Legion team won the district championship in its first year of play. Hal developed many of his boys into fine players, including several of Lorain's best of all time, some of whom were previously inducted into this Hall of Fame. Hal was also very civic-minded. He was co-founder of the Legion-sponsored Toy Workshop, which for several years engaged volunteer men in the evenings throughout the year to renovate toys for the Salvation Army to distribute at Christmas time to the children of laid-off Lorain workers. As an act of gratitude for his many contributions on and off the sports field, the Legion made Hal a life member of Lorain Post 30. He, along with Admiral King, was one of the first 3 honored this way by the Legion. Hal's occupation is health inspector for the city of Lorain. He was appointed in 1923. While he may have been best known as the man who posted quarantine signs around town at a time when it was an exception to grow up without having one or more of the diseases that were prevalent at the time, to many Lorainites, Hal was a lifeline insofar as he provided them with food, medicine, and other necessities all the time they were quarantined. Hal continued serving the citizens of Lorain in this capacity until his retirement in 1962 at the age of 77. He passed away in 1969 at the age of 82. He's remembered by those who knew him best as a great baseball man, a proud veteran and Legionnaire, a compassionate civil servant, a wonderful husband, father, and grandfather. In closing, I want to thank the committee again for remembering Hal and honoring him and making this a memorable evening that will last a lifetime for us. Thank you.
The final inductee from the regular category is George Loker. George Loker developed an early reputation in sandlot baseball as a strong-arm pitcher and an outfielder with superior skills. After completing his military service, Loker returned home to play Class A League baseball as an outstanding pitcher and hard-hitting outfielder. Now, this led to a minor league contract in 1949 to start a 3-season professional career. George initially was a relief pitcher. However, in his second year, he compiled a 13-8 record as a starting pitcher and was named to the Cotton States League All-Star team. The Chicago White Sox then purchased his contract. However, he sustained a shoulder injury that curtailed his career, and he retired after the 1952 season. George returned home and continued his outstanding play on several top stand-lot teams. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome George Loker into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
George, congratulations. My pleasure to present this to you, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I would like to say it is an honor and a privilege to be inducted into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame along with the other inductees here tonight. And to them I say congratulations. The HOF made some very good choices indeed. I would like to say happy that I could accept this introduction with my family and friends in attendance, and also the fact of how I am able to do it in person. This honor definitely humbles me. My passion for baseball basically began when I was 14 years old and playing in the Lorain F League at Subway Field in Longfellow Park. Baseball was truly the game I fell in love with and still am fond of today. Not to get ahead too much, but my baseball skills landed me an opportunity to move up the ranks of professional ball. After completing 3 years of service with the Army Engineers, I got my first taste of pro ball in '47 with Elizabethtown, Tennessee. While I played only for 3 weeks of them, it set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately land me in the Chicago White Sox organization. And another couple years of professional ball that would end in '52 with an injury to my shoulder. In the world of baseball, at the level I participated in, we would represent ourselves in salary negotiations in all aspects regarding our own contracts. When I played for the White Sox, I made $445 a month, which was a lot of money back then for a minor leaguer. The memories I have of traveling by bus from state to state and playing in 154 games a season, the stories I could tell, however, this is a family function, so I will move on. My allowed speaking time doesn't give me the opportunity to share with you my many, many fond memories of what it was like to live out your dream and get paid for it. Not a bad gig if you can get it, but I can tell you the thrill of playing in front of hundreds and sometimes thousands of ball fans is a feeling you never forget and will take with me to my eternal resting place. This induction here tonight is like icing on a cake. A game I love to play, got paid to play the wonderful game. Friends I made and the accolades I receive here this evening could ask for anything more. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am truly touched. I gotta go. Yes. Oh, I don't want to forget that.
No, you don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Inductees from the special category are those individuals who have contributed to the promotion of sports by providing leadership, coaching, or other assistance to the performing athletes. The first inductee from the special category is Paul Bieber, who had a tremendous athletic career at both the high school and collegiate levels, but his greatest impact was made as a coach in the Lorain City Schools. After graduating from the University of Toledo, he began his coaching career as an assistant football coach at Admiral King High School. In 1977, Paul was named head girls basketball coach at Admiral King, which was the start of a 28-year coaching career, during which he built the Lady Admirals program into one of the most respected in the state. He compiled a career record of 351 victories, and he received numerous personal awards, including being named Buckeye Conference Coach of the Year 7 times. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul Bieber into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you to the Hall of Fame here for being recognized and honored in this manner. The guidelines say that this is supposed to be informal and short, and we'll try to adhere to that. It won't quite match Jim Thorpe's speech at the 1912 Olympics when he got his second gold medal, and the King of Finland rather imperiously pronounced him the greatest athlete in the world. He looked the king in the eye, shook his hands, said, "Thanks, King," and walked off the podium. As our speaker, Coach Zavoc here, said a couple years ago, it doesn't get any better than this. And just thank you to all of you in this recognition. As with everyone, it begins at home. Began with my parents, Paul and Stella. My father undoubtedly was the strongest influence on our lives, and he instilled a drive and an intensity in all of his children that kind of stuck with us through our whole lives. If you're going to summarize his coaching philosophy, it would be, and those of you who knew him would understand this, beat the other guy to the punch and don't ever let him know you're hurt. My mother, thank goodness, had the balance to get us to behave in a more socially acceptable manner and balance things out over the course of those years. And you really can't, during the course of your youth, underestimate the influence of teachers, the priests and nuns who instructed us and kept us on the proper path. A special notice to all of the youth league coaches who remained in my mind throughout my entire coaching career. The lessons learned, the values taught, sustained through the course of the 40 years involved in coaching. On a particular specific basis, my sister Diana I have to give a special thanks to. She was very supportive throughout my playing and coaching careers, and she really was, through some difficult times, the glue that held our entire family together as we dealt with certain difficulties. Nobody could coach for 40 years without a supportive spouse, and I was very fortunate. My wife Joan of 26 years came to the first game, got hooked, and remained supportive all the way through, both for myself and for both of our sons. And speaking of them, they came to the gym as part of Dad's babysitting duties early on, and really spent most of their early basketball career competing against girls. At first, very unsuccessfully, but over time, learned the lessons and became pretty decent players themselves. The biggest thank you really should go out to all the players that had the honor and the privilege of coaching over that period of time. One of the ironies of teaching and coaching is that you're hired to give instruction and to teach, and hopefully you do that. But there's 100 students maybe over the course of a year, a couple dozen players over the course of a year, and inevitably the coach and the teacher learns more than anybody else. And I thank all of you for those lessons. And hopefully a few things were picked up due to the efforts of the coaching staff and helped you through your journey through life. A couple specific people I'd like to give thanks to. Don Fritz, who hired me, first of all. What his greatest lesson was teaching you how to be a leader. He was a strong man with a deep intensity, but he was also a humble man who took guidance and assistance, direction from his assistants, but there was never any question as to who the boss was. And that's a tough line to tread as a head coach. It's a dicey little trick, and he was very good at it. Another guy was my high school coach, Al Mcconney. He's a member of the Hall of Fame, but as a coach offensively, he was so far ahead of his time that very few people will ever realize that, and I thank him greatly for that. And then my last great influence would be Mitch Gillan, the great guru of Lorain County basketball, one of the great coaches in the state. Oh, for about my first 6 or 7 years, we always practiced after the boys. Now, Mitch kind of liked it that way. But it was also an opportunity for me and my staff to learn from one of the great coaches of all time, and I thank Mitch for that as well. In closing, the one thing I'd like all of you to do, if you will, is take the date September 3rd, 2010. Circle it on your calendars. And that's the first home football game for the Lorain High Titans. And it would be wonderful to see all of you there. It's great to be recognized by you here, but our young people can use that same kind of recognition as well. And better yet, bring about 4 or 5 of your friends with you, and let's fill that stadium like it used to be filled, and show the next generation what Lorain sports is like. Thank you.
I'm asking Paul to remain for a moment. Dr. Cheryl Atkinson, the superintendent of Lorain City Schools, unable to be here this evening, did request a presentation be made to Paul Bieber in recognition of his contribution to the Lorain City Schools athletic program. First of all, we have this particular resolution. I'm not going to read through it all. All of the whereases are listed in all of his accomplishments in the program, but I will read, now therefore be it resolved that the Lorain City Board of Education does hereby acknowledge Mr. Paul Bieber for his dedicated service and contributions to the history of Lorain Admiral King sports and encourages all citizens to publicly and privately congratulate him for the recognition by the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. Paul, here is your resolution and a gift that they want you to have.
Guess I should open it, huh? So, thank you.
The final inductee from the special category is John Burke, who after an outstanding player career at Lorain St. Mary High School and Wartburg, Iowa College, became a highly successful football coach in Colorado and Arizona. After graduating from Wartburg College in 1972 and holding assistant coaching positions, John moved to Colorado and coached 4 different high schools into the state playoffs after they had never previously qualified. His high school teams won 128 games, including a 13-1 record and the 1981 state championship at Windsor High School. He next moved to Arizona and repeated his success as he coached 3 different high school teams into the Arizona State Football Playoffs. Retiring from coaching, John remains very active in high school and collegiate athletics as an administrator in several organizations that are dedicated to improve sports programs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Burke into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Most of my professional career was spent as a coach, and I didn't take very much time before I figured out that it was a little different bunch of guys. Probably best exemplified by a story of the 3 guys that were sent to be put to death by means of the guillotine, where a large blade would descend down from above and separate your head from your body. The 3 were a lawyer, a minister, and a coach. The lawyer was first. Put the lawyer into the guillotine, asked him if he had any final words. He looked up and said, "Truth and justice for all." They pulled the handle of the guillotine, came flying down. The blade stopped inches from his neck. Thinking it was a sign from above, they let him go. Next up came the minister. Put the minister into the guillotine, asked him if he had any final words. He looked up and said, "Praise to the Lord." Pulled the handle, here comes the blade flying down. Again, stopped inches from his neck. Thinking a sign from the heavens, they set him free. Next up came the coach. Put him into the guillotine, asked him for final words. He looked up and said, "You know, if you tighten that bolt up there, this thing will work like it's supposed to." Sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're not very smart than to open it and leave no doubt. Much of the success attributed to those of us in this room tonight are lessons that we learned growing up here in Lorain. Things like, what you make of your life is your choice. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to overcome adversity somewhere along the way, and you better be strong enough to stand up for what you believe in. Both of my grandfathers came to Lorain from the old country, one from Ireland and one from Macedonia. Because they were willing to meet that kind of challenge, I was the recipient of 2 great parents. My late father, William T. Burke Sr., was a store manager for Reedy Scanlon Furniture Store for over 30 years. And my mom, Tilly, seated over there on a table with her 2 sons and some others, also worked full-time and found time to raise 5 successful kids. I owe a great deal of gratitude to my mom and dad, brothers and sisters, particularly my 2 brothers, Bill and Mike. Bill, for being a role model to me during my formative years, and Mike for his expertise and his guidance all the years we were in the coaching profession together. About 40 years ago, I brought this cute little blonde girl from South Dakota home to meet my parents. And at the time, my mom said, "John, you can search the world over and over and over, and you will never find a girl as good as Shelley." And so, about 38 years ago, we got married. I married the cutest girl on campus. And for the last 37, almost 38 years now, our life has been exciting and exhilarating. And I only hope that I have made her life as meaningful as she has made mine. She's the love of my life, and I really thank her for all she's done for not only me, but for our daughters, Stephanie and Summer. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention some of the coaches that helped me along the way. My 2 CYO coaches, Red DeLuciano and Killer Conrad, and my high school coaches, How about those guys? And my high school coaches, Jim Lawhead, Jim McCall, Bill Philbin, and of course, Tim Rose. You know, the athletes that played at St. Mary's in the late 60s have become legendary in their status, and quite frankly, we're the reason that the teams were so good. If you played high school football, I wish one time you could have played a game with Mike Coughlin as a teammate. He was the strongest, fastest, most explosive player I have seen. And in all of my years of coaching, I did not see one high school athlete that could carry Ken Dobesey's jockstrap. He was that good. Ken Dobesey was as fine an athlete as ever came out of this town. He was part of that 1966 team being inducted tonight. In 1968, after graduation, Rhys Morgan, Dave Snell, and I headed out to Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa. We all played 4 years of college football. We all got our degrees. And for the record, the one of us that accomplished the most on the field of play was Dave Snell. Dave Snell was an All-Iowa Conference cornerback who not only could cover receivers all over the field, but he would come across the line of scrimmage and attack the pulling lineman. I want to thank Dave Snell for the role he played in my life and for being one of my favorite teammates. And Rhys Morgan's my best friend. I've known Rhys Morgan almost 50 years now, and I've admired his accomplishments, and I treasure his friendship and his guidance. We played against each other in CYO. We played next to each other in high school and in college, and he has gone on to become one of the greatest high school coaches in the state of Iowa, moved on to now where he's considered one of the top offensive line coaches in the entire country. It's no secret why his players are first-round draft choices and starters in the National Football League. Without Rhys Morgan, I'm not standing here tonight. Lastly is this. The Bible says that Joseph died leaning on his staff. That's how I feel about being up here tonight. The staff was my teammates, my coaches, and of course my family members that helped me get here. Without them, I'm not here. Thank you very much.
Tonight we honor the Lorain St. Mary 1966 football team. Before proceeding with the introductions and biography, we invite all the team members to come forward to the front of the platform for the presentations. Okay, the golden age of football at Lorain St. Mary High School started with the 1965 team that had a 7-2 record, continued with the 1966 team that was unbeaten with a 9-0 record, and then was culminated with the 1967 unbeaten team that hiked the winning streak to 24 straight games. The great 1967 team was enshrined in the Hall of Fame back in 2005, and tonight they will be joined by the St. Mary 1966 team. Playing under second-year coach Bill Philbin, the Irish outscored all opponents 279-86, and they closed out the season with the much-talked-about classic 8-6 victory over arch-rival Elyria Catholic. They finished 8th in the state in the final United Press International ranking poll. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Lorain St. Mary High School 1966 football team into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame.
It is a distinct honor and privilege for me to speak on behalf of this undefeated 1966 Lorain St. Mary's Fighting Irish football team. What FDR once told Churchill best exemplifies and describes this team. He said, "Believing is strength. Doubt cramps energy. Belief is power." These men had a belief they could win, and they did. Through their hard work and dedication, they were pioneers who laid the foundation and groundwork for all the football squads that followed them at their school. They opened up their season with two of the toughest opponents the school had ever faced since its inception. First was perennial state-ranked and powerhouse Fremont St. Joseph. Second was a new school called Akron Firestone with an approximate enrollment of 1,400 students. Now, if you can remember at the time, Lorain St. Mary's enrollment was 240 to maybe 300 students. The Fighting Irish go on to win this game, this David versus Goliath game, 28-20 in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. The ninth and final game was against their arch rival, Elyria Catholic. Both teams undefeated. both teams vying for the North Central Conference Championship. Their will to win can best be described with an opening 87-yard kickoff return and a 2-point extra point conversion, leading 8-0 after the first 15 seconds of the game. Even though through the entire game they had 0 yards rushing, 0 yards passing, and 1 first down by virtue of a penalty, they won the game 8-6. Belief was their power. Believing was their strength. I thank God not only for my present family, but this, my extended family, who I'd be proud to call my sons. I'd always told them, no matter where they are, if they ever needed me, never hesitate to call. That still holds true today. I think they provided much sacrifice for me, for themselves, and their school. And I want to thank them very much once again for being inducted into this Hall of Fame. Before I also go, I'd like to recognize my coaches, Jim McCall, who's been here many, many times. This guy's a total success for Lorain, I think, in the city of Lorain. Jim Lawhead and Coach Jerry Butchko. I didn't forget anybody, did I, Jim? I guess me. That was the fourth guy. We also have some gentlemen we'd like to recognize who are no longer with us. That would be Jim Olowinski, who is represented by his mother and his brother tonight, Mrs. Olowinski, who is 92 or 93 years old. John Toth, who is represented by the brother, I think it is. Bill Wilkins, who's no longer here. Joe Shuley, by Ernie Shuley, his brother. And I think that's it. That's all I've heard about. I'm sorry for that, and really miss those guys. They're a great part of the team. So I'd like to thank everybody once again for this honor. They are most deserving of it. Thank you very much.
I've been asked to read the roster of the names, and I will read them alphabetically. For those that are attending, first I must say about the first name I'm going to read. It's interesting and a great honor to be inducted once, a greater honor to be inducted twice, but to be inducted 3 times, twice in the same evening tonight, is quite astonishing. John Burke. Mike Campo. Mike Coughlin, a Hall of Fame inductee in 2002. Frank Coughlin, his brother. Ken Dobesy, who was mentioned, was here, became ill, and had to leave. Emmett Flynn. Brother Mike Flynn. Felix Garcia. Rudy Kubisak. Jim Lawhead, an inductee in 1985. Jim McCall, an inductee in 2004. Timmy Majeski. Stanley Major. Captain Bobby McPhee. 2006 inductee Rhys Morgan. Barry Mach. Tom Nemick. Coach Philbin mentioned Jimmy Olowinski, deceased, being represented by his brother Larry, who was an inductee in 2006. And of course, head coach Bill, better known as Willie Philbin. Jim Reagan. Joe Shuley, deceased, who is mentioned, represented by his brother Ernie. Gene Sweeney. Tom Weber. And one out of order, Dave Snell. Those unable to attend quickly: John Bilancini, Jerry Butchko, assistant coach and a 2009 inductee, John Caruso, Gary Doyle, Bob Iden, Bob Favorite, Kevin Jerzinski, Bruce Rauscher, Rich Robson, Bill Russo, Rick and Greg Shearing, Bob Scusa, John Toth, Mark Valentine, and Bill Wilkins. Those are the members of this 1966 Fighting Irish undefeated football team. Thank you so much.
Earlier in the evening, we took the opportunity to introduce to you members of the media, and I must apologize, shame on me, because I forgot to introduce someone very near and dear to sports in the city of Lorain, and that's the gentleman standing behind the camera in front of me, Joe Bach, the director of WLCS TV 20. I'm sure that those of you connected with Lorain Cable, Time Warner, realize that the citizens of Lorain, the sports fans of Lorain, have the golden opportunity to see so much in the way of sports: football, basketball, baseball, the entire gamut. And all the credit goes to Joe. Okay, we have come to that portion of the program where we will have the J. Ed Yulin Memorial Scholarship. And for those of you that may not be watching television, but rather listening to your radio, without a doubt, the finest play-by-play man this side of the Mississippi will do that presentation. Tim Alcorn, WEOL.
Thank you, Ron. Although I do think Joe Tate would have something to say about the finest play-by-play man east of the Mississippi, but he's up in Boston right now, so I won't tell him you said that.
That's okay, tell him.
If we could have the 3 female nominees for the J. Ed Uland Award, please make their way to the front of the room, please. The Lorain Sports Hall of Fame annually honors the memory of J. Ed Uland, one of the founding members of the Hall of Fame, by presenting scholarship awards to the outstanding senior male and female student athletes nominated by their participating schools. Criteria for judging includes class rank and GPA, athletic achievements and community service or extracurricular activities, all of which have equal value. Secret ballot voting by the committee determines the 2 winners of the $750 scholarship awards, with the runner-up nominees each receiving a $500 grant to the college of their choice. The Lorain Sports Hall of Fame gratefully acknowledges the financial grant received from the Lakeland Healthcare Corporation Board of Directors to assist in funding those scholarship awards. The introductions to follow for the nominees only include selective accomplishments for brevity of tonight's program. We do suggest that you read the complete biography for these outstanding nominees, which can be found on pages 38 and 39 in your program book. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now focus on our 3 female nominees, and we will start with the nominee from Clearview High School, Adrian Ward. Adrian's class rank is number 5 out of 139, and she sports a 4.271 GPA. Adrian is a member of the National Honor Society as well as Student Council, and she has lettered in 2 sports at Clearview High School, including cross country and basketball. Adrian Ward from Clearview High School. From Lorain Admiral King High School, our nominee is Anna Britvik. Anna's class rank is 2nd out of 252 with a 4.698 GPA that is weighted. Her activities include National Honor Society as well as a member of Student Council at Lorain Admiral King, and she has lettered in 3 sports, including softball, volleyball, and golf. Anna Britvik from Admiral King High School. And ladies and gentlemen, our nominee from Southview High School is Marisol Torres. Marisol is ranked number 1 in her class out of 246 at Southview High School with a 4.81 GPA weighted. Her activities include National Honor Society, and she is president of Senior Council. She has lettered in 2 sports, including soccer and basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, from Southview High School, Marisol Torres. And ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to announce our winner tonight, Anna Britvik from Lorain Admiral King High School.
I gotta admit I'm a little bit nervous, but it's an honor to be in front of everyone here. Everyone seems like such great people, especially all the nominees tonight, and the inductees as well. And I gotta admit, this is just such a great honor, and I got a list of names to thank here. I'm pretty much shaking. First of all, I'd like to say I'd just be so proud to represent the community of Lorain, continuing my career in athletics and in academics as I signed at the University of Findlay today, and I'll play softball there. This is extra special to me because my dad was a nominee in 1983, and my boyfriend received the award in 2008. And I'd like to start off my long list of thank yous with the committee for making the decision on me. I'm still astounded. These are some great nominees that I came up against. All of my teammates and friends that have put up with me and my lack of time that I have from everything that I do. I have a long list of coaches. This is where everything starts with. For golf, which I just picked up 2 years ago, I'd like to thank Anthony Zaroli and Coach John Akesy, who pretty much convinced me to start playing, and it's kind of a new hobby for me now, and I enjoy it a lot. For volleyball, Amanda Henko, Marion Mingle, Coach Terry Trout, Coach Lynn Rossentano, which if she was here right now, she would probably be crying, and it would make me cry. Coach Mark Kamilovic, and starting with softball, this is a pretty long list. This is my favorite sport to play in the entire world. I'd like to thank Coach Ron Ammons, who I will play for, and I'd like to thank him for introducing me to the family at Findlay, and I'm very excited to continue and play there. Coach Tip Mankey, Tim Allen, Stan Bolowski, and everyone from North Coast Spirit, my travel team. Coach Roger Wright, who I'm sorry I'm such a menace to play against. In fact, I hit a home run off him last week. So he always shakes my hand after we play and congratulates me, but he always says he hates to play me because there's always something that I do that's a game changer. Linda Soto, Coach Major Brown, Bob Rennie, Coach Dale Dawson at, I believe he was at Edison last year. I'm not sure if he's there this year. Coach Pam Jackson and Al Stacy, Coach Christine Dorsey, a previous winner of this award, Jillian Van Wagenen, for her, this arm wouldn't have been developed. Ohio State University and Ohio University for the softball camps they put on and what they've taught me there. Dave LeFew, my pitching coach, Jim Allen Popeel, and everything that he remembers for everyone that's an athlete from this town. My boyfriend and one of my best friends, Matt. Thanks for all the dates at the batting cages. Every member of my family, I'm getting a little emotional now. My sisters, Katie and Jessie, and my nanny and papa, and I miss him and love him. My Grammy, Grandpa Don, Uncle Donnie and Aunt Becky, and my great-grandma Adele, who just passed away recently, and I miss her and love her too. Most importantly, my mom and my dad. And especially my dad for such a great coach he's been to me, and without him I would not be up here tonight whatsoever. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anna, and again, congratulations. And if we can now have the 3 male nominees make their way to the front of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 3 male nominees for the J. Ed Yulind Award, and we will start with Eric Thompson from Clearview High School. Eric is ranked 9th out of 139 in his class at Clearview with a GPA of 4.079. Eric is a member of National Honor Society, and he also volunteers at First Harvest Food Bank. Eric has lettered in 3 sports at Clearview High School, including baseball, football, and basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, our first nominee, Eric Thompson of Clearview High School. Our second nominee from Lorain Admiral King High School, Anton Chaney Harris. Anton has a class rank of number 9 out of 252 at Lorain Admiral King with a GPA of 4.196. Anton's activities include being a member of the National Honor Society with the Roll Award, and he is also a Boys and Girls Club volunteer. And athletically at Lorain Admiral King, Anton lettered in 1 sport, but man, he was good at it, and you were fun to call out there, the sport of basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, from Lorain Admiral King, Anton Chaney Harris. And our third nominee tonight is from Southview High School, Yulind Ralston. At Southview, Yulind has a class rank of 40th out of 246 with a 3.975 GPA. That is unweighted. He is number 1 out of 60 at the LCC Early College program. Yulind's activities at Southview include National Honor Society member, and he is also part of peer tutoring. At Southview High School, Yulind has lettered in 2 sports, including wrestling and baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, from Southview High School, our nominee is Yulind Ralston. And the male winner of the J. Ed Yulind Award is Yulind Ralston from Southview High School.
I would like to start off by thanking the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame Committee and everybody who made it possible for me to receive this honor. Thanks to my fellow nominees and for everybody in attendance today. I wouldn't be able to do this without all my coaches and everybody involved with Southview Wrestling and Southview Baseball. Everybody's like a family. My coaches include like the Turnus brothers who started the program. Always looked out for me since freshman year. Billy Kopp, head coach right now, looked out for me since birth. My dad's best friend. It's kind of hard growing up when your dad's best friend is the wrestling coach. And then, ironically, my dad became the coach this year too, and he's helped me a lot also. There's been coaches that helped me during the summer. My uncle's been there for me for the long ride, and my family's been very supportive. They're here today supporting me, and I just like to thank all you guys for helping me achieve this. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and again, congratulations to our two winners. Outstanding jobs by all of our student athletes. And now I'll turn the microphone back over to Ron Baklar.
Thank you, Tim. By the way, when I said what I said in introducing you, I was looking to the future, because we both know that Joe Tate is close to retirement, very close to retirement. And Dan Gilbert doesn't have to look anywhere beyond Lorain County to find the next best play-by-play person. You're it. Obviously, the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame honors a lot of athletes late in life. But there's an individual that I've known ever since we were undergraduates at Kent State University, working together at WKSU-FM, teaching in the same high school together, working locally in the radio stations part-time when we taught. This gentleman, this individual, has done more to promote sports on the youth level than anyone ever in the history of Lorain County. And it's with great honor that I introduce a friend, a colleague, and definitely a man who loves sports and those involved in it, Jim Allen Popiel.
Thank you, Rod, for your very kind words. Before we honored the stars of the present, a couple of remembrances from that 1966 Lorain St. Mary's team. They gave me the most delicious payola I ever received. They were having a benefit spaghetti dinner when I was a disc jockey at the old WWIZ, and they brought up some spaghetti dinners just for making the announcement on the air. And it was so good, I still remember it 44 years later. And this second thing about that team, I wonder if Coach Philbin ever ended that story about the hula dancers. He had a thing that after every victory, he added another chapter to the story about the hula dancers. Coach Philbin, did you ever finish that?
We did finish that. We had a hula dancer show up at one of our parties.
No wonder they went 9-0. And now to the business at hand. The Lorain Sports Hall of Fame is pleased to congratulate those individuals whose athletic achievements have been recognized with special honors and awards. Tonight we recognize 4 individuals who have attained All-Ohio honors for their performances the past sports season. We suggest that you refer to page 41 in the program book for a selected listing of their accomplishments. The first player is Anthony Hitchens, a senior from Clearview High School, who was named to the Division IV All-Ohio Football First Team Offense as a running back. This is the second consecutive year that Anthony has received this award, and you can better believe he's going to receive many more for years to come. This plaque is presented in recognition of this honor to Anthony Hitchens of Clearview. And I'm sure that Coach Rhys Morgan knows Anthony because Anthony is Iowa bound, and he'll do very well there, I'm sure. The next athlete is Narcisco in Cherokee, a junior from Southview High School, who earned Division I All-Ohio honors in wrestling at the 125-pound weight class. Narcisco also received this award as a freshman. This plaque is presented in recognition of this honor. Narcisco, you heard Coach Law had mentioned that John Burke was the first to receive 3 different Hall of Fame honors, and you received 2. And are you ready for a three-peat next year? Yeah. And something else that has never been done. We have never had winners year after year, but at 2 different high schools. So Narcisco, you'll be leading Lorain High Titans to state championship next year. Of course. Very good. Here's somebody that was just up here a few seconds ago. Repeating honors received as a sophomore is Yulind Ralston, a senior from Southview High School who earned Division I All-Ohio honors in wrestling at the 119-pound weight class. This plaque is presented in recognition of this honor. Yulind Ralston, who I might add is quite a good baseball player too. He had some terrific hits at the Pipe Fire last Sunday night. Yulind Ralston, congratulations. And the final honoree is Michael Weber, a senior at Elyria Catholic High School, who has earned Division II All-Ohio honors in swimming as a member of the 200-meter and 400-meter freestyle relay teams. This plaque is presented in recognition of this honor. Michael Weber from Lorain, who attends Elyria Catholic High School. Congratulations to all the athletes for your great achievements. Nice work. And we'll see all of you back here at the honor tables in 20 years. 35 is the minimum age for being admitted into the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. I'm sure we're going to see that foursome back 20 years at least. For the final special tribute this evening, we request that Dave Zabel and Dave Zabel II come forward at this time. You know, this coming summer will mark the 41st summer on WEOL for me this summer of providing information about the Lorain Youth Baseball Program. And ever since 1970, when I started talking about Lorain Youth Baseball, there has always been a Zabel. And even before that, involved in the program, because since its inception in 1953, the Lorain Little League and Lorain Youth Baseball programs have been the recipients of involvement from hundreds of volunteers who have contributed many hours of participation. Tonight, we are so pleased to recognize the continuous involvement of the Zabel family in these programs. To commemorate this extraordinary dedication, we are pleased to present these plaques, which are engraved as follows. The Zabel family has provided 3 generations of dedicated service to the Lorain Little League and Lorain Youth Baseball programs. This plaque is presented in recognition of this contribution to the children of Lorain. It all started with Eugene Gene Zabel, 1932 through 1994, and we miss Gene so very much. Dave Zabel and Dave Zabel II, presented by the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame on May 6, 2010. Congratulations, the Zabel family, for doing so many great things for Lorain Youth Baseball.
I'd like to say one thing on behalf of my father, even though he's not here. It's been 16 years. You've seen the movie Field of Dreams? His dream was Columbus Park. In 1976, Christmas Eve, he dragged me out there to that park to see it being built. And now today, if you have been out there, it's one of our gems. We got to keep it going, keep the youths in Lorain busy, keep them from sitting there playing Nintendos, get them out there to play ball. All you parents got to help us out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. And in closing on my part, I want to also thank all the inductees. Not once did this sounder go off. Not once. What a relief. I didn't have to push the button. To close out the program, once again, President Barb Mcconney.
Okay, we're almost finished. Before we close, we have one more award presentation. I'd like Bambi Dillon to please come forward. The committee has a tradition of presenting the past presidents with an award. It's well deserving. We didn't get a chance to do it throughout the year, and we're so pleased to do it tonight in front of everybody. This plaque, Bambi, is an appreciation for all the service you've given to the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame. And if anybody's gone to a fundraiser in this town, believe me, this woman here is the one that probably instigated the whole thing and takes care of it all. Bambi, this is well deserved. Congratulations. Thank you. And then we're going to express some more thanks. First to Ron Baklar over here. When the Cavaliers' schedule demands that Joe Tate be elsewhere, we are indeed fortunate to have Ron Baklar on standby. We value your dedication to the Hall of Fame and thank you for your fine job. And I want you to know every time I saw him at Pete's, I had to beg him to be here. Okay. Next, Rich Zavoc. Thank you for coming and sharing your entertaining message. It was excellent. Thank you very much. We can't forget Len DeLuca and the staff here at DeLuca's Place in the Park. Thank you for your cooperation. Another successful and enjoyable evening, and I'm sure you enjoyed the dinner. It was delicious.
Amen.
Boy, it was good. And finally, you have no idea the enormous task that it takes to do this banquet. You have no idea all the details involved in this. And we have a prize in Bob Lisicki that takes care of this whole banquet. So a great big thank you to him. And to his wife Dolores, who has to put up with it. The banquet committee, the program book editorial staff, to the advertising coordinator Ted Driscoll and his staff, to Harvey Herman, the chairman of the screening and narrative committee, and to all committee members for their dedicated efforts in producing this event to honor the excellent athletes in the city of Lorain. A final announcement. Our next activity is the annual golf outing. It's going to be our fundraiser on Saturday, July 17th at Fox Creek. If you're interested in supporting this event through the whole sponsor program or being a participant, application forms can be obtained from the golf chairman, Bob Tomaszewski, or any committee member. In fact, he's got a display over there in the green room. We've got the details on page 11 in your banquet booklet. We're excited about reopening our museum. It'll be downtown Lorain. Thank you to the city of Lorain, Mayor. 737 Broadway. So in June, look for a grand opening announcement. Finally, we thank you, all of you, for your support, for being here. Without an audience, we couldn't even do this anyway. So thank you very much for being here. We really had more people than we have had for a while. And now, to close, I'd like to ask Reverend Rashford, please, to close the program with the benediction. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. Let us pray. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, for you have given us these athletes whom we have honored this evening. Through your blessing, may they continue to serve you and the people of their communities. May those who learn of their accomplishments through the Lorain Sports Hall of Fame be inspired to praise you and to do their best in all of their endeavors, athletic and otherwise. As we depart from this place, we ask you to bless us and keep us, to make your face shine upon us, and to give us your peace. Amen.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools, TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.